Not only for the for the delivery of those molecules of those oxygen, glucose, electrolytes, no, but also cardiovascular system is in charge for removal of, of carbon dioxide and other waste materials. For example, through our kidney. The location of the heart is medial, no, between the lungs, and its shape is more like a triangle, no, but not exactly triangle. It has an apex part, the upper part of the triangle, and it is directed toward the left hip, no, about the size of our fist. We have a diagram, of course, on the next slide. This diagram shows the location of the heart. The base of the heart is there, the apex of the heart, which is tilted, no, slightly to the left side of our hip or left side of our chest. And this is exactly the reason why when we want to feel our heartbeat, we normally put our hand, no, the palm of our hand in the left side of the chest, no, because the heart is tilted toward it. Another illustration of the heart showing some of the large arteries like the the aorta and the superior vena cava, pulmonary trunk. Okay, the heart has this double membranes that covers it entirely. We call it the pericardium, which is composed of two membranes because it's a double membrane. The visceral pericardium and the parietal pericardium. Okay. The layer closest to the heart is the visceral, while the outside layer, now after the visceral pericardium, is the parietal pericardium. And there is this serous fluid, no, that fills the space between this layer of pericardium. There is a pericardial cavity, or in some text, no, it's pericardial sac filled with fluid that lies between the visceral and the parietal pericardium. Here's an illustration of the pericardium or the heart covering. No? You can see there the parietal and the visceral pericardium, and in between the pericardial cavity that fills with fluid. And the main functions of this covering is, of course, it's for lessen the friction between the heart and between the heart within the chest cavity, ano? And it also serves as a cushioning, no, shock absorbing effect, so that our heart is fully protected. Another illustration of the heart showing clearly, no, the heart's covering, the pericardial cavity, the pericardial fluid, and the parietal, the outermost covering, the parietal pericardium. Next is the heart wall. We know that heart is a cavity; it is filled with blood. So obviously, it has a wall, and the wall of the heart is called, of course, heart wall. And this heart wall classes is made up of three layers: the epicardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. Epicardium class is the outermost layer, which is earlier I mentioned about the visceral and the parietal pericardium. No, epicardium is actually not the parietal heart, but the visceral pericardium. This is not parietal. Instead, it's visceral pericardium. Again, the epicardium is the same as the visceral pericardium, which is made up of connective tissues like collagen fibers, for example. The myocardium is the middle part. No? Myocardium is the middle part made up of cardiac muscle. If you remember our discussion with muscular, how do we name those muscle? No? We use MYO, myo, which means it's a muscle. So myocardium is made up of muscle. It's the one responsible for contraction and relaxation. While the innermost layer of the heart wall is the endocardium, the inner layer, and it's made up of endothelium. If we're going to include the heart wall and the coverings, no, of the heart, then we'll see that it is made up of one, two, three, four, five, six, no? Six layers. The endocardium, the innermost, the myocardium, which is made up of muscle fibers, no? As illustrated here in this diagram. The epicardium, which is the same as the visceral, no? We had a correction earlier. It's not parietal, it's visceral pericardium. And then the pericardial cavity, which is filled with fluid. And then after it is the parietal layer of the serous pericardium, and the outermost layer of the heart is the fibrous pericardium. Here I listed all those layers starting from the inside. Number one, the endocardium, myocardium, epicardium, up to the outermost layer, fibrous pericardium, and their descriptions. Basahin nyo na lang. Another diagram of the external heart anatomy. You can easily see there the left atrium, the atria, no? The left atrium, the right atrium, and the ventricles. The right ventricles and the left ventricles, and also the apex, which I mentioned a while ago that it is somehow tilted towards the left hip, no? Left hip or left chest. Here is the internal structure of the heart, where you can see the four chambers, the right and left atria, no? The right atrium, the left atrium, and the two ventricles, the left and the right ventricles. And the blood will flow from the right atrium. It will fill the right ventricle, and then after that, the right ventricle will contract to eject the blood out of the heart towards the lungs to fetch some oxygen, to get oxygen. And then, once it is oxygenated, the oxygenated blood will go to the left atrium, no, filling in the left ventricle, the blood will flow from left atrium to the left ventricle, and then the left ventricle will contract and eject the blood towards the body, distributing it to all parts, no, of our body. Continuing with the heart chambers class, no, the right and the left act as a separate pump. But then, even if they act as a separate pump, I'm referring to the left and the right atria, and also the left and the right ventricles, comparing the left and the right chambers of the heart. According to this, they act as a separate pump. So that makes sense, no? And even though they act as a separate pumps, they relax and they contract simultaneously for the reason that syempre it's the entire heart that contracts and relaxes, and those chambers are within the heart, no? But comparing the atria and ventricles, on the other hand, they are very different. For example, the atria, the right atrium, for example, it receives blood, no? It also contracts with a less force compared to the ventricles, because atria only pump the blood to fill the ventricles. In comparison, the ventricles pump the blood so that the blood would flow throughout the body. So we call the atria the priming pumps, compared to the ventricles, which is the power pumps. They do strong contraction to push the blood throughout our system, throughout our body. Another illustration on how the blood circulates in our body. No, let us start from the heart. Here in the right atrium, it's the receiving chamber of the heart. It will receive the blood from the veins, from the body. No, once it is flow in the atrium, the right atrium will contract slightly to fill in the right ventricle. Alright, and from the right ventricle, it will do a power pump so that the blood would move from the right ventricle into the lungs to fetch some oxygen, to get some oxygen. Okay, and once it is oxygenated, by the way, these blue blood vessels here, class, means it's blue because it is oxygen poor. It's deoxygenated. The blood here doesn't have oxygen. So once it fetch oxygen from the lungs, it will turn red, oxygen rich, okay, or oxygenated blood, right? So from the lungs, the oxygenated blood will travel back into the heart, specifically to the left atrium, where it will again contract slightly to fill the left ventricle with blood. And then the left ventricle would contract, will do its power pump, so that the blood will be ejected from the heart, from the left ventricle, towards the body, delivering oxygen. And once it deposits its oxygen to the 13 billion cells of the body, the blood will now go back again to the heart, to the atria, and to the ventricle, fetching oxygen, and the entire process would continue like a cycle. All right, so I hope you understand that. But just in case, I included here the step-by-step blood flow through the heart. So basahin nyo to, and I want you to understand the sequence of the blood flow. Alright? From the oxygenated blood from the body enters the right atrium via superior vena cava. This includes the blood, the major or the large blood vessels from the upper body, inferior vena cava from the lower body. So it's much more detailed. Alright? So you read this sequence of blood flow. In the previous slide class, in the step-by-step process of blood flow, you might encounter there the word valve. No? So what are valves? Blood valves allow blood to flow only in one direction, just like in mechanical valves class in some water system. Mechanical valve prevent the water from flowing back, okay, because it closes. No? Same thing with the valves in our heart. So it only allows the blood to flow only in one direction, so it prevents blood flow. That's why the chambers have valves, blood vessels have valves, okay, and there are four valves: the under atrioventricular valves, the bicuspid or the mitral valve, and the tricuspid valve, the left valve and the right valve. The other one is the semi-lunar valves between ventricles and arteries. Example of those are the pulmonary semi-lunar valve and the aortic semi-lunar valve. So these are the four. Valves, major valves: the mitral, the tricuspid, the pulmonary, and the aortic valve. Here are the four valves inside the heart. Let's start with the tricuspid valve. It separates the right atrium from the right ventricle, so that the blood will not flow back from the ventricle to the right atrium. No, but just like what we have explained in the previous slide, valves will prevent the blood to go into the other direction. Okay, so it will only allow the blood to flow in one direction, like for example from atria into the ventricle, and not the other way around, because this tricuspid valve will close, of course. No, the mitral valve separates the left atrium from the left ventricle to avoid blood flow. The aortic valve separate the left ventricle from the aortic arc, while the while the pulmonary valve separate the right ventricle and the pulmonary arteries here. No? It closes so that the blood will not flow from the pulmonary arteries back into the right ventricle. Okay. The valve open as blood is pumped through, held in place by chordate tendineae, the heart string. No? It closes to prevent the backflow, just like what I've explained earlier. And here's the illustration of the one of the valve inside the heart, the arteries rendition. You can see here the chordate tendineae, which is made up of collagen fibers. It controls the opening and closing of the valve. And here you can see the actual photo of the valve inside the heart. The chordae tendineae is here. It controls the opening and closing of the valve. Here in this diagram, class, it's just the same with the previous one, but with the addition of the role, no, played by the valves. Every time the blood uh, moves from the atria to the ventricle, just like what I've explained earlier, the valves open up and then it closes to prevent the blood from flowing back. Same thing with this semilunar valves. Once the blood moves from the ventricle to the no, once the blood moves from the ventricle to the pulmonary trunk, this valve also closes to prevent the blood flow, to prevent the blood flowing back into the heart once it is already in the pulmonary arteries. This diagram shows the great vessels, no, the largest, no, blood vessels. The aorta, it is clearly labeled here. If you can see, no, the aorta, the pulmonary arteries, the vena cava, and the pulmonary veins, the four of them, and also it also explains the direction of the blood. For example, the aorta here, the aorta is where the blood goes after leaving the left ventricle. The pulmonary arteries, the pulmonary trunk here is where the blood goes after leaving the right ventricle. Same thing with the vena cava. It is where the blood is coming from to fill the right atrium, and also the pulmonary veins, the four pulmonary veins, where the blood pass through to fill up the left atrium. Next is the coronary circulation. How does the blood circulates the within the heart itself? I mean, the within the heart wall. All right, because the blood in the heart chambers, they do not it does not nourish the myocardium. No? So where does the cardiac muscle get its nutrients? Gets its glucose, for example, since it is constantly beating, so it is constantly in need of energy, and oxygen as well, and also electrolytes. No? So where does the heart get its nutrients? The answer is that the heart has its own nourishing circulatory system involving the coronary arteries and the cardiac veins, just like in this diagram. Next. Here, if you can see the coronary arteries that somehow surrounds the heart, it is where those nutrients, oxygen and electrolytes are coming from. It has own circulatory system. It nourishes the heart wall. The myocardium, for example, so the muscle would contract, giving it glucose, no, doing cellular respiration, converting into energy, so that the heart will continuously contract and relax. All right. Next, conduction system. Just as the heart has its own circulatory system, no? Interestingly, it also has its own nervous system. It doesn't need a brain for it to beat, no? To contract and relax. No? It has an intrinsic conduction system. Alright? A nodal system. The heart muscle cells contract without nerve impulses in a regular continuous way. And the neurotransmitter is not coming from the brain. It is coming from a node, no, within the heart itself. Let's see. Alright, so here's the built-in, no, built-in nervous system or the conduction system of the heart. It has special tissues, sets the pace. Like for example, the key here, the key player here, class, is the SA node or this one or this sinoatrial node. No? Sinoatrial node is the pacemaker. No? Just like the artificial pacemaker in some patient or people with heart problems. Other nodes are the atrioventricular node, the atrioventricular bundle. You can see here in this diagram, it is well labeled. The bundle branches, the Purkinje fibers. All right. You look on the next slide. All right. So this slide will explain how the heart, no, were able to contract and relax or beat without the needing for neurotransmitter coming from the brain. It all starts with the SA nodes, which will fire the impulse so that the atria will contract. And then the impulse coming from the SA node will reach this AV node, right? Also attached in the atria, in the right atria of the heart. Okay? And then from the AV node, the impulse will travel, no, to the bundle of His. This blue nerve-like structure here is the bundle of His. The impulse will travel there. The impulse will always create will initiate the contraction. Then the bundle branches, here's the bundle branches. The impulse will go to the bundle of His, to the bundle of branches, and up to the apex ventricle, up to the apex part of the heart. Okay? And then it will spread, and then the impulse will spread through the Purkinje fibers, through the ventricular walls. See, just like an axon of the cell, the impulse will spread in the walls of the heart, which will in turn contract the entire heart. Okay, and the impulse will all begin here at the SA nodes. Right. So the point is, the heart doesn't need a neurotransmitter. Right. It has its own system of generating impulse via the SA nodes. Alright, that's the reason, class, that sometimes we see it in the film or in the movie that even though the heart is removed, no, from the body, we could still see it is still beating, and this is exactly the reason. It has a scientific explanation. The heart could beat even though it is removed from the entire body, for example, of an animal, right? Because of its own somewhat like nervous system. Heart contractions. Contraction is initiated by the SA node, the sinoatrial node, just like what we have explained, and then sequential simulation. It's like a chain reaction. Sequential simulation occurs at other autorhythmic cells in the heart, causing it to contract as a whole. The contraction of the heart, class, is called the systole, no? The contract and pump. Alright? So you create a mnemonics for that so you could easily remember it. No? The systole contract and pump the blood out of the heart, while diastole, on the other hand, is the relaxation state. Is the relaxation part of the heart, wherein the blood is filling up from the atria to the ventricles. Sometimes we could represent the sound of a heartbeat as lub dub, no? If you're familiar with that, lub dub, lub dub, lub dub, right? The lub sound, no? The lub part, no, of that lub dub is when the AV valves closes and the start of ventricular systole, meaning start of the contraction. Right? And the dub part in the lub dub sound beating is when the semilunar valves closes and the start of the ventricular diastole, when the heart is started to relax and fill the ventricles with blood. Alright, so the lub sound is the systole, the contraction starts to contract, while the dub sound diastole start to relax and fill with blood. Alright. Here is another illustration, class, of the cycle, of the cardiac cycle, the lub dub, no, or the heartbeat. Okay, so we can actually divide this into three phases, no? But basically it's just systole and diastole. For the first part, the ventricular piling part, or mid to late diastole. And you remember the previous slide, no? Diastole, DR. So you can see here. Diastole is the relaxation side, and the systole S is the contraction part, no? So for the first phase, the feeling, no, of blood, ito, from the atria down to the ventricles, is the mid to late diastole. Diastole means to say relaxation. While once the ventricles are filled up with blood, then it will start to pump. And the pumping is called the systole. Systole, contract, and pump. No? And the last part, after the contraction, then the heart again starts to relax. This is the early diastole, and diastole is DR, relaxation. All right. Hope you understand that. And then the entire process will again continue. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's like a cycle. It's never-ending beating. Unless the patient's heart is not pumping anymore. It's not beating anymore. And we call it asystole. Ayun, I remember. Asystole. Continuation with the cardiac cycle, no, the 1 to 3 cycle, no, the atria contract simultaneously. Oh, you have to understand that, because the two atrium, the left and right atria, is both located inside in one heart, no, inside the heart, no. And when the heart contract and relax, it's the whole heart, no, that contract and relax. So the two atria, the left and the right atrium, contract simultaneously. The atria relax, then the ventricles contract simultaneously as well. No? Systole contraction and diastole relaxation. Right? Again, another explanation of the cardiac cycle, the whole lab tab. The events of one complete heartbeat, mid to late diastole, blood flows into the ventricles. I already explained this, the three phases, no? Then the ventricular systole, and then the early diastole, and then it goes back to the mid to late diastole again, refilling the heart, refilling the ventricles with the blood coming from the atria. Right? So it's like a cycle. It will always repeat itself. That's why beating is like never ending. Unless it's asystole. Asystole means flat lines doon sa ECG. No? The person is dead. The heart is not beating anymore. Cardiac output class is the blood output, no? The amount of blood being pumped out. Pump out, not pump out. Pump out from the heart, no? The amount of blood pumped by each side of the heart in 1 minute. So there's a formula, but I will not make you compute. I won't give you numbers, even in the quiz and the exam. Huh? I'm just explaining what a cardiac CO or cardiac output is. Cardiac output is the heart rate multiplied by the stroke volume. Stroke volume is the volume of the blood that comes out from the heart upon contraction. This is the cardiac output regulation. Cardiac output regulation. These are the activities that makes our cardiac output increases. Like for example, when we exercise, yan. When we exercise, it promotes or enhances our cardiac output. Siyempre, when we do some exercise, even just simple running, no, it makes our heartbeat faster. Mabilis yung heartbeat mo. And the faster your heartbeat, the greater the volume of blood coming out from your heart. So, therefore, the cardiac output is big, no? It's greater. Compare when you are experiencing a hemorrhage, no? If you're experiencing a hemorrhage or blood loss, therefore, then your cardiac output will be low. Or for example, when you are parasympathetic nervous system, when a certain crisis has passed, no? When you are relaxed, then the cardiac output is low because your heart is not beating really fast. No? So what other examples can increase or can enhance our cardiac output regulation? No? Whenever your heart beats faster, like for example during exercise. Next, the regulation of the heart rate. Stroke volume usually remains relatively constant. The stroke volume or the amount of blood coming out from the heart is always constant, especially if we are relaxed. Especially if we are relaxed. No? when we are doing our daily activities, daily chores, going to school, cleaning the houses, no, uh, unless we do an intensive exercise, then it will increase, ano. But the volume, no, output of our heart is usually constant. Not when I say constant, it means not changing. There is this Starling's law of the heart. The more that the cardiac muscle is stretched, the stronger the contraction. That makes sense. Because the more blood fills up the heart, the more it is stretched. Eh. Diba? Can you see it in the camera? If this represents your heart and it receives a lot of blood, then it will be stretched, no? And the more it is stretched, the more uh, the more power or force it can do when it contracts, no? Parang elastic rubber band lang yan. Eh. The more you stretch it, the more power it has to return to its original size. Alright? Next, the heart, the regulation of the heart rate. How does our heart rate changes, no, from normal to faster heart rate to slower heart rate? Now, these activities will increase the heart rate. No? It will make your heart beats fast. Like for example, during crisis, no, during flight or fight responses, adrenaline rush, no, it increases our heart rate. Whenever we are experiencing fear, no, it increases our heart rate. Low blood pressure also increases our heart rate plus, no, to compensate uh, for that slow blood circulation because yun nga, low blood pressure, then your heart will have to work double time. If you are low blood, then your heart rate will increase. Right? That's the correlation between low blood pressure and heart rate. When the patient class is low blood, you expect that their heart rate is slightly elevated than normal. You should know that class, ha? Dapat alam niyo yan. Hormones, like for example, the epinephrine and thyroxine, these are hormones that will increase the heart rate. You should also know this class, no? Especially when the patient in the ER, for example, is having a very low heart rate, then the doctor will usually give epinephrine or epinephrine because those hormones, no, those medication will increase the heart rate of the patient. Exercise increases the heart rate. That's pretty obvious. Right? Which is also very important for the health. Now, once in a while, we need to exercise. You need to exercise to increase the heart rate, to increase the cardiac output temporarily, or have a better circulation. Decrease of blood volume plus also increase the heart rate. This is very obvious. For example, when when a person is have run into an accident, no, and there is a lot of bleeding, it will increase his or her heart rate. So again, these are the instances in which the heart rate of the patient will increase. How about this time, activities or instances wherein the heart rate decreases? Uh, Parasympathetic nervous system, when we are relaxed, when we are sleeping, probably when we are watching TV, watching Netflix, no? When we are drinking, a lemonade in the shore, no, in the seashore. So those instances, class, when we are relaxed, then our heart rate will tend to be lower than normal. Okay? Uh, those patients with high blood pressure also experience decreased heart rate. When the high when they are high blood, no, or high blood volume, then the heart rate decreases. Same with the previous slide. When the patient is low blood, 'di ba, heart rate will increase. On this side naman, when the patient is high blood, then the heart rate will decrease. That's the correlation. No, baliktad. High blood pressure high blood pressure will result to decreased heart rate. And why is that? To compensate again, no? Because the, the, the pressure is high, so the heart rate must compensate with that. It must decrease, no? Because if the pressure is high, no, and the heart rate is fast, then stroke or heart attack may occur. Alright? Next. Alright, so for the vascular system class, I will make another video regarding this, and I will be sending it to you this weekend, no? Together with a simple activity